Hey guys, and welcome to a new video here on the TonePedia channel. My name is Emanuel Knorr, but you can also call me the Shred Educator because that's what I like to do. I like to shred. And today I'm here to shred all my way through the brand new Strandberg Boden 6 True Temperament. And what to expect from this guitar, and also what makes it so special, and last but not least what it sounds like, is what I'm gonna show you in the next couple of minutes. The body is made out of chambered alder, but also has a 4A flame maple top. These are pretty much top of the notch, high quality woods, but it also has a really thick sound with lots and lots of sustain. If we turn the guitar around for a second, you might recognize the roasted maple neck. And one thing I really enjoyed about this neck in particular is that roasted necks do have a little more, let's say, dry feeling. And this is especially very comfortable to play when you're playing like more slippy and fast stuff where there's a lot of movement going on, and compared especially to necks that have a pretty like glossy kind of neck, and you do not get stuck anywhere, so you can play fast runs and move across the fretboard all day. It feels pretty effortless. So if we go back to the front now, you can see the Paul Fabo fretboard. Just from the visuals, it really fits the gorgeous look of the guitar and has a very deep brown tone. It also feels comfortable to play on, but the biggest highlight on this guitar is not the actual fretboard, but what we can now discover here. So as I mentioned in the beginning, this guitar is the first Strandberg guitar to have True Temperament frets. What is a True Temperament fret? Just according to visuals. In the first place, a True Temperament fret might look a little strange because the frets are shaped pretty weird. But in the second place, if you just do some research on the True Temperament frets, the whole concept really makes sense. So there are two main properties that are different with these frets. The first one is that the actual scale length is changing, and True Temperament frets are not the only type of frets that allow the guitar to do that. If you kept your eyes open during the last years, you might have recognized that there are a lot of guitar brands out there who are including these kind of guitars with a multi-scale fretwork. So that is actually the, let's say, more established version of having a guitar that has a changing scale length from string to string. And there are a couple of advantages that come with that. So it is really likely that you're playing, let's say, in a thrash metal band, you really want to have some shreddy solos and really want to feel comfortable when you're shredding, but also want to have a certain amount of tension on the low strings, the E string, the A string, for riffing out. So the big advantage of True Temperament frets and also the multi-scale fretboard is that the scale length is changing so that it increases on the low strings. So when you're riffing, you really have that extra bit of tension that makes the riffs feel better and makes playing feel better, also on light strings. But when you're soloing out and you're doing bendings, legato, maybe sweepings and all that stuff that happens more on the higher strings, on the E, B and G string, you will have that really nice and light feel because the scale length is a little smaller there. So even when playing light strings, you will have a good feel when riffing and also when soloing. In the past, especially when I have been in the studio, I used to have different sets of strings on different guitars, and but that's not possible at all when you're playing live. So I've been playing, a guitar with a multi-scale for a couple of years now, and I don't want to live without it anymore. So that is the first really big advantage of the True Temperament fret and the multi-scale as well. Something that is really special about the True Temperament frets though is that it pretty much guarantees perfect intonation. So if you're just starting out and if you're not familiar with the term intonation, let me just explain that briefly. So when you're playing a string open and you're tuning the guitar, the tuning is happening according to the open string. But when you're fretting a note, it might be the case that the note is just not exactly tuned the right way. And that is why you have to set up the intonation at the bridge. So even though your guitar might be perfectly tuned by you, it might be still the case that when you're playing, especially when you're playing chords or harmonies, the intervals are not exactly right. So intonation basically is the tune of fretted notes, so to say. Hope that makes sense. So you always want to ensure that your guitar has a good intonation so that every note, not just the open notes, is sounding right, and especially when you're playing with a band, that everything sounds just right, and all the intervals and all the chords and arpeggios and all that stuff sound exactly the way they should be. Let's say you're playing live, you're playing tours, you're playing in the studio, you're playing just a couple of hours a day. Then the intonation obviously suffers from that, and with everything on the guitar, if it's string changing or resetting the action, you also have to set up the intonation sometimes. And that can be a pretty difficult job, especially when you're just starting out. And most of the people I know are just giving their guitars to a guitar store or to a guitar builder, and they need to pay money for that. But with these True Temperament frets, and that is also the reason why they look so weirdly shaped, with these frets you can just guarantee that the guitar always has perfect intonation, so it is always in tune. It doesn't matter where you are on the fretboard. And that is the final reason why these frets do look so strange, because they are measured out the exact way they need to be to guarantee correct intonation all the time. But to ensure that the system works out with the True Temperament frets, you need to tune the guitar in a certain way. So let me just show you from another angle how that works. Hey guys, so here I'm back with the guitar on my knees, and it is just tuned to drop D, as you can see, because we did record some heavy riffs with that, and we just want to get it back to E standard tuning. So all you gotta do is start with the high E string, this one, and as with every other guitar, you just tune this to an E. So let me just do that. Alright, easy task. So we have an our E here. So then instead of tuning the B string to a perfect B, what we're going to do now is fret the 5th fret of the B string, so that we're having the exact same note. And if you listen closely, you can kind of feel that little bit of tension that is happening between the notes. So yeah, that is basically how it works. We just fret the E on the B string and the 5th fret and then tune that to E. So let me do that in a second. Alright, so also done. So now we're having the open E and then the 5th fret with an E. So as you can see now, the tension is gone. So let us move on to the 9th fret of the G string, because as you can guess, we're having an E here. There's a lot of tension between these notes, so that means that the G string is not in tune at all. So let me just do it here. Done as well, so we're having our perfect E here as well. So let me just fret all of the 3 notes at the same time, so we're having... And this is an extreme test. We're having 3 times the same note at the same time. So just the fact that we do not feel any tension at all is, pretty convincing for me concerning the intonation. So, and that is pretty much how it goes on. So we just, tune the E string, the B string, and the G string, all with focus on the E note. Now we're going to the 2nd fret of the D string. We're also going to tune that to an E. So done as well. Here's our perfect E note, and then the next one is the E on the 7th fret of the A string. And last but not least, let us tune the now D string to, what it's supposed to be, to an E. So let me do that for a second. Alright, done as well. So we're having E on the 0th fret on the first string, and we're having 5th fret on the B string E, 9th fret on the G string E, 2nd D, 7th A, and then, no fretting on the E string, and tune all the notes to E. And the result is just perfect intonation. But we will see about that in another sound sample that you're just gonna see within this video. So to do an ultimate test to these guitars, let me just, put on a preset with lots and lots of gain and play some big and open chords, because these are like the ultimate test for the intonation of the guitar. Both of the guitars really sound great. So don't want to say that the intonation of this guitar is necessarily better than on another guitar. With this guitar, I just tuned it, and that's it. I just tuned it before shooting the video. I did not even retune it before playing the riff, and it just sounds perfect. And the last thing I want to mention, talking about the specs, is the pickups, because we have 2 Sir pickups. The one at the bridge is the SSV, and the one in the neck position is the SSH+. Sir is really known for doing high-end, top-of-the-notch pickups that really have a great sound. So these pickups are pretty much capable of doing, anything. If you're playing metal, fusion, jazz, blues, rock, whatever, these pickups are sounding killer. At all. And I'm a metal guy, so I really like to play high gain stuff, and I really felt, it really felt joyful, because these guys are capable of controlling lots and lots of masses of gain. By the way, The switch over here is a usual 5-way switch, as you might know it from other guitars. So this means that this guitar actually coil splits. So if you have been worried about being limited with these awesome pickups, you do not have to worry about anything, since they also, can do the single coil stuff as well. So for a couple of years now, Strandberg has always, produced guitars with, a really worked out concept. What I mean by that is that there are pretty much no choices on the guitars that have not been worked out and, that have not been well thought when designing the guitar. So not having a headstock, having the neck shaped a little differently, having the body shaped a little differently, these things are not there randomly, but are a result of years and years of, working on a concept to make an ergonomic and, quality instrument that fits to the needs of pretty much any guitar player. So Strandberg has been one of the brands during the last years that always stood for innovation. And, innovation is a process, an ongoing process that has no end. And, just featuring some of the guitars with True Temperament frets is a really, really good step in the right direction, I'd say. And if you're worried about getting used to the feel of these kind of frets, you really shouldn't be, because from my experience, it really feels, not very different. And even if you're a beginner or, someone who is playing some style of music that is not relying on, advanced techniques, you still do not need to be afraid of these frets, because if you get used to them, it feels like, you never have played something else before. And for me, like when I first played a multi-scale guitar, that was in 2017 or 18 or something like that, so it's been, 2 or 3 years now. And, for me it was just playing the guitar for like 5 minutes, and then, it felt so awesome. So I'm really, really sure that you will have the same experience. Alright guys, so I think that's it for today. I hope that you really enjoyed that video. If you did, please don't forget to subscribe to the TonePedia YouTube channel, and to like the video, to share it with your friends, to leave a comment, whatever, to do something that makes us, that makes this channel grow. So most importantly, if you want to check out the awesome sounding, Strandberg guitars, True Temperament or whatever model, you should just take a look down to the description box, because there, at the time I'm shooting this video, the team is trying to get everything running. At the time that you're watching the video, you might be able to access our very own TonePedia player, where, you have the ultimate experience of comparing different instruments with each other. So yeah, just do that and you'll see what these babes are capable of. Alright guys, that's it. Keep on rocking, keep on shredding, and see you in the next